and welcome to another episode of the Decision Hour. I'm Adam, and with me, as always, Patty.
Adam, how's it going this morning?
It's going. What's going on? How are you?
I am good.
I'm
excited. I'm adventuring into new areas of life.
Yes, you are. I must say, without getting mushy, because I know you're not a mushy type of person, but I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
I freaking love it. I got it. One of these days, I'm going to screenshot a picture of the faces that you make when we're doing these shows. That was classic. Well, listen, I'm excited today because we got a very special guest on the show today. If you guys are interested in money, how to save money, what to do for your taxes and stuff, in my opinion, there's no one better in the business. I've known this gentleman for 5-6 years, maybe even longer. It's a guy that I trust wholeheartedly, and he has done wonders for me. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on the TaxFella, Mr. Anthony Mauriello. Anthony,
awesome.
How you doing?
Well said.
Thank you.
Hello, Patty. Hello, Adam. Good morning. How are you?
I appreciate you taking time, brother. How you doing?
I love it. I'd have no other way, man. I'm doing great. Yourself?
Yes, good. Good.
Weekend.
Yes, it was. It wasn't long enough, but that's all right. They never are, it seems like. So, Anthony, why don't we just start off, and why don't you tell our guests a little bit about yourself?
Thank you. Yeah, sure. My name is Anthony Mauriello. I'm an enrolled agent. And what that means is I'm licensed by the federal government. I'm licensed by the Internal Revenue Service purely in the area of taxation. So what that means is when you look at an enrolled agent or an EA and a CPA is licensed by the state with which they practice, much like an attorney. So they could practice within that state, whereas an EA is licensed federally.
Okay.
So I'm not bound by my state. I could practice in every single state purely with a core discipline in taxation for an individual, an entity, a partnership, a corporation, things of that nature.
Nice.
Whereas again, it's not to put the CPA down, but their discipline may be more financial.
Right.
Financial statements, financial forecasting, things of that nature.
Gotcha.
So when it comes to the individuals and any entity with any kind of tax consideration, we're the go-to experts.
Gotcha. All right. So you can go anywhere. Any you can work with any business, any individual, all 50 states.
And we do. Yes, sir.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. So we're gearing up now. Right now, as we're recording this, we're getting ready for the fourth quarter, last part of the year. So tax season is literally right around the corner. Do you have any advice that people should be doing right now to prepare, other than making sure they have money to get their taxes paid for, or like what should people start doing right now to prepare for tax season?
Yeah, great question, Adam. So now is the time to be proactive, and it's something that we preach throughout the course of the year. Far too often, people come to us, corporate returns or entity returns are due March 15th, whereas your individual return is due a month later, in April 15th.
Okay.
At that point, it's too late. Other than a few small retirement moves that we could make to save you money on taxes, the time to really save money is through the course of the year. So now, as we're barreling down to the end of the year and that finish line is on the horizon, this fourth quarter is really when and where you want to start making some moves to say, hey, listen, I'm a farmer. I need a piece of equipment. Now's definitely the time to discuss and see if it's worthwhile purchasing that now to be able to lower those taxes come the end of the year.
So let me ask, as a business owner, and it could be any business, and Patty, jump in here if you have a question, but when making purchases and stuff like that, as a business owner, like farmers, for an example, Farmer John needs a new tractor. Is that something that he can write off then, because that's part of the business, so to speak?
Yeah,
then is that
and that's a good question, and I think that does confuse a lot of people. So yes, any kind of business asset. A computer, in my instance, a tractor in a farmer's instance, that's an asset, which means it retains somewhat of a value. Mm-hmm. But like any other business equipment, to the eyes of the IRS, that asset is worth less and less every year because now it's used.
Right.
So they'll allow me to either take a special election where I could take the entire amount of that expense upfront in this year that I purchase it, or spread that over the useful life of the asset
Right.
and depreciate it down a little bit over time.
Gotcha.
And again, when we work tight with people, we're gonna make sure that we could find out, hey, is it worth taking all of that depreciation this year or stretching it over 3 to 5 to 7 years and really do some effective tax planning by weighing out all of these options.
That was going to be my next question, and you just answered it. Is like, is it better to take it all out up front and get it, or spread it out over the course of 5 to 7 years, as you stated? What would you say is the biggest mistake business owners make when it comes to their taxes?
Not planning. You know, those who what do they say? Those who plan to fail to plan.
Right,
Those who fail to plan
right.
to fail, whatever.
Right.
So yeah, by not planning and not being proactive, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. Because like I said, if you're coming to me in March and the returns are due in 2 weeks, there's very little that could legally be done. You know, and I'm sure there's people that the days of the Wild West are over. You know, so to say, hey, you're coming in April 15th, Anthony, I owe too much in tax. Do whatever you have to do. We don't want to carelessly throw figures on a piece of paper.
Right.
You know, I could say, and I'm doing an air quote for all those who are just listening. I could say, oh yeah, $10,000 business trip, but without substantiation, it's not going to fly. So proactively discussing this, you and I will know, hey, listen, I'm looking at your books and records. We did your bookkeeping for you. I know as of 9/30, as of the first 3 quarters, you're looking at a profit of 50 grand. You've got about maybe 40 or 50 in the bank available to use. Adam, let's talk about what's going to happen between now and the end of the year. You might say, Anthony, I'm robust. I don't need equipment. I don't need computers. I don't need anything. We'll discuss other plans. Hey, are you on payroll for yourself? Let's discuss a bonus. Let's discuss a pension plan or a retirement account where you could defer that money from your own paycheck. And guess what? As the owner of the company is going to match whatever money you put in. So if you're going to put in $5 grand, the company's going to match $5 grand.
Right.
You're not going to be taxed on it. You're going to write off not only your salary, you're going to put up your 5, the company's going to match their 5. If you have children, my children work in my company. My little guy is 5. He shreds some paperwork. He photocopies. He does things. They're on payroll. Each of them have a little bit of an IRA set up for themselves. I pay them. My business deducts it. They put money into their IRA. They're saving for their retirement.
Nice.
So there's just some good moves that we could do there through the course of the year.
I freaking love it. Patty, do you have anything?
So, yeah, I do. So I'm wondering, Anthony, will you work with people in other states?
Absolutely. We work with people all over the place. We have a couple of corporations in Georgia, a couple of people in Florida, without a doubt. And be honest, now with the remote capabilities, it's so much easier whether it's any kind of Zoom meeting or go to my PC or there are really no limits with who we could work for and with.
Mm-hmm. So how would somebody contact you?
They could contact us through our website, which is mytaxfella.com. They could email me at Anthony Mauriello at mytaxfella.com. We've got Facebook pages. We have LinkedIn pages. I'm sure Adam has a link to us from the first time we were on the show.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they could certainly find us out there.
We'll make sure we put that contact up because I definitely have that because, like I said,
Thank you.
Anthony's company does our books and all of our tax stuff for Heroes Media Group every year, and there's a reason why I keep going back. It's because, like I said, the amount of money and the relief of headache that and I feel bad too because when he mentions like, hey, if we got like 2 weeks to turn this stuff in. I'm the guy that turns it in like 2 weeks before it's due. And he's just like, and he smiles every time. You know, he's just like, okay, I got you, and I love him. I love him for it. I love him for it. It's phenomenal. So make sure you guys check that out. If you're listening to the show, you're already on the internet. Open up another browser and go to mytaxfella.com and check them out. And if you're a business owner and you want somebody to do your taxes or look at your books or whatnot, I strongly encourage you to reach out to Anthony and his team because he's got a phenomenal team that they've put together over there.
So I do have another question, Anthony. I'm starting my own business. Will you work with those who are just starting out?
Absolutely. And those are my favorite kind of people because we have such a great opportunity here to instill in you best practices. And right from the start, Look, we also specialize in cleanup work. People haven't filed in years. People's books are a mess and things of that nature. But when we have somebody like yourself who is just starting a business and anxious and eager to learn, and obviously everybody wants to pay as little amount of taxes as they can, anybody like yourself, we would absolutely welcome. And we really handhold you. Adam, thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah.
It took me 10 years to find the team of people that I'm working with now. I don't want to call them my employees because they come to work every day as though they're running their own business, and each of them throws their heart into what they're doing. They're all dedicated to helping you and ensuring your success in this venture. That no question is too small. It's never an inconvenience. There's plenty of us around that you'll always get somebody when you need us.
It's like a family up there. And what's crazy is like when I was living in Arizona on a more full-time basis, I could only communicate with Anthony through telephone or for email, and I'd always hear from whether it was him or somebody in the family there. And then when I came out to Pennsylvania and spent more time up here, I found out he's got an office up in Staten Island, and like 2-hour drive. And one day I decided, I'm just going to go up and see him. And I did. I drove up there, saw him. He answered my questions. I was in and out of there in less than an hour, and it was just like boom, boom, boom. What's next? And I was just like, dude, it's freaking awesome. And it's again, if you're a business owner, and like one of my weaknesses is like I don't want to take care of the books or something like that because it's a monotonous thing for me. I dread typing in my receipts and doing this and doing that, where I can just turn stuff over. They handle it for me. I get calls, I think about quarterly, just to double check to make sure, hey, do you got anything new? We're going to look at your books. Is there anything you need to turn into? I mean, they call me and make sure that I'm up to stuff, or if they need stuff, they're asking for it. And I sometimes forget about stuff, and they're like, hey, what's this? Or if I do a big purchase for the company, I've had phone calls where they're like, is this what was this meant? And I was like, yeah. So they check up on you and make sure that everything is, they're just watching out for it. It's kind of like a big brother watching out for you, and I love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, it's kind of scary. I think the thing that's held me back from starting my own business for a while is the tax part of it, because ever since I was just a kid, I've hated math. And I like making the money, but I don't like sitting there in front of QuickBooks all the time trying to figure out my own taxes. I would be able to, put things into QuickBooks a little bit and all that, but not when it comes to such a huge commitment and a huge responsibility to government paying taxes. I never want to be late. I never want to underpay on my taxes. So I'm always the one that claims, dependence when technically I might not have to. So you might have to talk to me about that too.
There's a whole psychology of it. There's a heaviness to people dealing with their money, whether it's uncertainty, whether it's fear, like any other service. You're also freeing your time when we do the work for you. In addition to proactively looking at deductions, having these conversations of what is this and what is that, and hey, look, you have a profit, you're freeing up the time and the anxiety that you would normally spend not doing this, you know what I mean, or doing it. But yeah, I mean, it's just a service that we really pride ourselves on to alleviate all of that stress from you guys. Yeah.
I did have a business when we lived in Michigan, and I had an accountant, CPA, that would come to my work every couple of months and pick up a receipt. So I had to file taxes like every 3 months. But to me, that was always really stressful too, because there wasn't a lot of communication in between. They would basically take my receipts and
Poof.
not, fill me in on what's going on or how I can make a better business move or where can I save money on my taxes. So I love this idea, and I'm definitely going to be contacting you
Awesome.
after the show.
And it's funny because there's also not necessarily a vulnerability there, but I mean, we get some crazy receipts that almost like a priest, man, you'd be amazed what people are using their debit card for. And, like you said, you feel as though, oh, I've got to answer to this guy that, whatever, I'm going to the quick check too much. Or, like, look, we're not here to judge. We're here to best categorize, best represent you and put forth the most solid, accurate return we can. And utilize, look, you can go to quick check every day. If it's business related, we're going to deduct it.
Oh my goodness. See, I'm super frugal and I'm afraid to spend money because I'm just like that. So
I wish I was. I'd be like, get it. We need it. Get it. Yeah. Anthony, let me give you a scenario real quick. Because I know there's Patty and I have some listeners right now that are talking about starting a business right now. And what's the process for that? I mean, a lot of people are like, oh, okay, should I do a sole proprietorship or should I do an LLC or a C corp? I mean, when you're filling this out, is that something that you guys do as well as kind of walk people what's best for them?
1,000%, because there's no cookie cutter here.
Okay.
So I can't answer that. If you were to say, Anthony, what's the best option?
Yeah.
I cannot answer that unless I know more about you.
Gotcha.
So if you're a new client that we're taking on, traditionally, I'm going to want to look at your last year or the last 2 years of your tax returns.
Okay.
Because based on what I see there is going to help me determine what the best entity structure and status is for you, because it's not a one size fit all.
Gotcha.
So,
okay.
You could be an LLC,
Mm-hmm.
Which is a limited liability company that has no entity status at the IRS. So once you form that LLC, it's formed at the state level.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's up to us to determine through our conversation, hey, do you want to be taxed as a partnership, as an S corporation, as a C corporation, as a sole proprietor? There's many different options for us that where before we make that decision, I need to know about you, your prior tax returns, what's happening year to date for you. And that'll best determine how we're going to set this entity up.
Is it easy to switch from one to another?
Like
yes, an LLC to like a C corp or something?
Yeah, there are some form filings that have to be timely filed. So for instance, if you're a single member LLC, by default, you're a sole proprietor, which means I'm going to file my personal return, and this is going to sit on a schedule on my personal return.
Okay. Through
a conversation, or we might say, hey, next year, my wife is going to retire. My husband's going to retire. They're going to come work with me and for me. We might then want to change the election to say, hey, no longer should you be a sole proprietor. Maybe now we'll put you as a partnership. Or maybe now we'll say, let's be taxed as a corporation with both of you on a payroll of that corporation, and then further do some retirement and tax deferral into a retirement account or some investment advisory. So we're really layering and maximizing the spin on our dollar.
You're talking about investments and stuff like that. Is there something? And I'm going to assume that the answer is going to be it's not cookie cutter as well. But is there something that you would recommend people who are just starting off, that started late in life, that want to save for retirement? Like I've always heard that Roth IRAs are a way to go. I've also heard throw some cash into the stock market and be conservative about it. What exactly would you recommend, or is there, or does it depend?
Right. It does depend, and of the books that I've enjoyed, very, very simple and starting small, pay yourself first, and that's, it sounds very simple to do. And you're chuckling there, pay yourself first, man, because a lot of times you're struggling to pay the rent. You're budgeting for everything else except yourself. And, when I first started here, I threw everything I had, my time, my money, every single aspect of my being went into my business. Fast forward, before you know it, look, dude, I'm here 20 years. And if I didn't stop along the way to say, oh, hold on, this is great. And I'm literally like, when I first started, I'm borrowing money to keep the place afloat. So it seems a little foolish at that point. But if I didn't start from back then, there's always something that came up, whether it's a new hire, staffing, equipment, some new opportunities. There's always something to deploy my money at. And if I didn't pause and say, hey, I got to protect home base, give myself a salary and a retirement account, fast forward 20 years, that's much more robust than I ever would have imagined. So it's really so important to consider how fast time goes and how precious a commodity our time is and what it's worth for us.
100% behind that, because I know as myself, I volunteered so many years. I was just thinking about it the other day, 12 years of my time, thousands and thousands of hours volunteering. And at the end of the day, what do you have to put towards it for retirement, for your family at the end of the day?
Exactly. And we had spoke a little bit earlier off camera as far as some sort of future planning, whether that means through these retirement accounts, through catastrophic planning, any life insurance needs, and just some sophisticated planning, because life happens, you know. So again, at a certain point, I realized, hey, you know, if I continue along this path, I don't have retirement. I'm self-employed. I don't want to. I mean, I do want to do this forever because I love what I do. But there's going to be a point where I can't do it forever. And what happens then? What does that mean to my family? What does that mean to my children? What does that mean to my lifestyle? Right. You know, so you definitely want to look at a comprehensive overall view of where you are today, where you want to be 5, 10, 15 years from now. Look at that life plan, but then also remember to plan for the unexpected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Patty,
I don't mean to be a
No, you're good. No, that's so true,
good.
and it's great information that's needed. People
it is,
need to hear that.
Because I mean, volunteering is great, and sacrificing yourself for your employees is great, but you're to a point. But think about it: you're going to burn out easy. Mm-hmm. How is the longevity of your business going to be if you're not?
Yeah, if you're not
profiting for yourself,
if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't take care of others.
Right, exactly.
You know, and it's corny, but they say, like, even when you're on an airplane, hey, the first thing you need to do is put your own oxygen mask on so that you can assist others. You've got to remember to take care of yourself and your financial well-being so that your business can survive, so that your family can survive. Anything can continue without you if that's what you want your legacy to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you can still help people in the meantime, because I know I look back at all the people I've been able to help, and that's wonderful. But at the end of the day, if you're sitting in a tent somewhere because you don't have a house because you helped other people get their houses, that kind of
exactly
stinks, you know?
And, you know, if you ever see any of those, whether it's Shark Tank or whether these business-related shows, a lot of people have a pure intention. They want to help. They want to do good, and we applaud them for that. But you have to remember, in a capitalist society, which we are, whether you like it or don't or whatever, that's the beauty of capitalism. And if you have an integrous charity or something that you want to give to, you should really do that with the profits of your business and not donate too much of what you're doing, because at least once you've secured those profits, you can do a lot of good with them.
Right.
Whereas if you're taking less of a profit and doing more, and I'm not saying not to do good, but you really want to strike that balance between securing the profit and then deploying it to do good, or not taking it. And I think there was a stock company that they just had a poor business model where they were giving too much away up front, that when they turned it around, they were able to give exponentially. And it was just because their intention was pure, the business model was broken. Mm-hmm. So you definitely want to keep your fingers on that pulse.
That's a
and I do think it's important we're talking about this, because a lot of our listeners, they are fantastic people. They're giving. Some of them have charities, and they donate their time to help other people. And they're all kind of struggling with the same thing that I've struggled with for years is, you know, how do you know how much to give? Where's the limit? What, you know, when you're starting a new business, how do we start out? A lot of us are kind of in the same boat. I just am excited to meet you and excited to have you help me with the beginning of my business.
We look forward to it. Absolutely.
Anthony, we're running out of time, and I'm going to ask you a question here. It's something that Patty and I always ask all of our guests, and this is one that I've asked you in the past. You're on a show called The Decision Hour. So name a time in your life where your feet were on the line and you had to make that decision. And that could be anything, whether it's starting your own business, getting married, have kids, whatever the case may be. What was that decision that you made? And tell us what the atmosphere was like for you at that time.
That's a great question, man, because there have been so many that to narrow it down to one is difficult. I think for us, where we really went from, hey, we have a humble and an honest business here, and we're looking to grow. Where we dove in with both feet. More and more clients were coming to us with additional needs, and internally there's a little bit of a tug of war. And I remember one of my clients, his advice to me was, Anthony, stay small and keep it all. You could have 10 locations and your expenses will 10 times. Your income might only go up. Your income can double, but your expenses can quadruple.
Right.
So I think at a certain point, we were given an opportunity to buy another firm up the block and really kind of blow the doors off the place, And I'd be honest, Adam, I don't think I gave it much thought. It seemed natural to just constantly grow and expand. And man, we took that opportunity. And at that point, we've just been head down running with the ball. The difficulties there is that we never want to implode. We don't want to take on too much where that level of quality is sacrificed or clients aren't feeling the love anymore. Again, we just have to put measures in place where we're going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to take opportunities to expand, while at the same time ensuring that if that expansion means 5 more employees or 50 more employees, we've got to get them hired to make sure that the quality and the integrity remains the same. Right.
Love it. I appreciate it. Listen, folks, if you're listening to the show, again, open up another browser, go to mytaxfella.com. Reach out to Anthony and his team. If you're a business owner, this is the guy that you want doing the work for you. Get the books taken care of, get your taxes taken care of. There's nobody better in the business than this gentleman right here. So, Anthony, I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you guys very much. Really appreciate being here.
Patty, any closing words?
Yeah, I want our listeners to know I didn't plan on working with Anthony at the beginning of the show, but as he spoke, I'm really excited about this.
I won you over. I make taxes exciting, right, Patty?
I know.
I love it. I love it. Well, folks, that's all the time that we have today. Before we let you go, again, a special thanks to Anthony for coming on to the show. MyTaxFella.com. Check it out. Also, go check out our parent network, Heroes Media Group. Check out all the great shows, articles, and stuff as they're growing. And if you want to become part of the Heroes Media Group family, simply go to www.heroesmediagroup.com. For Patty, I'm Adam. You've been listening to The Decision Hour.